watching airplanes land was always a time you just got in the habit of watching if you could. And so many planes come in, when they hit, something happens and they go up like this, the prop goes in the deck. They had to come out and patch it. I've seen the planes land and two inner tubes go flying out of the plane like this. So I've seen planes come in and torpedoes came out and bounced up the deck. And I've seen 1,000-pound bombs, 500-pound bombs bounce out of the ship. I saw a guy, one wheel wouldn't come down. He landed with one wheel. One time, the sad thing was that one of our dive bombers had a 100-pound bomb on each wing on it through the tips, and one of them was hanging just by. There's two hooks just hanging by one, and the bomb was armed. And when the plane landed, the bomb exploded, and the only body injured was the guy that comes out to unhook it. Well, I can remember that one of them, I went topside in a twin-engine Betty, what was Jap plane, was coming at us like they were headed for the superstructure. And I stood there and I could see the tracer bullets from the 20 millimeters going through the airplane. And finally, they stopped it, took a nose dive and never hit our ship. Another time, I took care of the Mark 14 gun sights. There were 55 of them aboard ship. And when you look through the reticule, you keep the reticule on the plane, but where you're on the plane, but the gun is going to have to shoot forward at that point. So it figured out by how fast you were moving your gun right or left. Well, this one time, one of the planes landed, the piece of broken prop flew flat on the flight deck and hit a Marine in the head, and it threw him back, and he hit a gun sight. It destroyed 5 gun sights. And I tell you, that was the busiest day of my life because I had to replace them. We carried spare parts aboard ship. The only thing is the spare parts, like they say, were down on the 6th platform. All the hatches have to be closed. And I got down there to the 6th deck. And of course, each deck I had to go through the scuttle and close it, open the next one, go through, close it, all the way down. Once I opened the scuttle, I moved 5 of them up one level, 5 more. And then I went forward in the ship, so I got to get the 5 of them back to where the guns were. One other time, a pilot didn't turn the safety switch off, and we landed, all 6 machine guns were firing. And fortunately, nobody got shot. It was high enough to go over everybody. And the bad part was when a hell diver landed, and as you know, where the wing rotates up, that's there. Where the wheel comes, that's there, and the 20 millimeter cannons there, all at that joint. Well, between that joint and the body fuselage, there was a hole in that wing that, not kidding, 4 men could have stood in it. and the plane still got back. And it landed, and it didn't hurt it. That plane was strong because the awful G-force on it when it's diving, pull out of the dive. So they would take off about mid deck. They used to sit there and let the prop up until it's going full speed, and then take off. And one time, when most of the pilots, when they went off, they turned like, and this one pilot turned too much, and he lost his lift and landed in the ocean. It was funny. I see we're in the director way up in the air, so I can see all this stuff real good. And he walks out to the end of the wing. He stops. He walks back. One of his clipboard or whatever it was, and then he walks back out and jumps in the water. One time, one of our destroyers by a Japanese torpedo, and the plane dropped a torpedo so close to the ship, didn't get armed and went right through the ship, underneath one of the 5-inch gun turrets. I had another terrible incident. I remember now. The plane was one of the anti-submarine ships. The Avengers circled, around the ship all the time, looking for something. And something happened with the plane, and they had to make a forced landing. And the plane lands in the water. You could see the pilot, and they're in the water waving, and you can see the smiles on their face. And the depth charge went off. That's the last you saw of them. I hear they're smiling and so happy that they're going to be rescued, and boom. That was, but outside of that, we didn't have any real bad things happen. I remember a lot of times when an airplane, one of the fighters wanted to land, and he didn't drop this auxiliary gas tank. And it usually ended up, people walk around patting their belly, and finally they would get out a gas tank and pick it up. Then the guy would go. Of course, then there was one of the, in where our ship, of the planes from the ship, a long ways, and they just had brought enough fuel to get back. And the flight decks was all lit up. I mean, really bright. And it'd take any plane from any ship, we didn't care. And they'd take them down, run them past all the wires and stuff, take it to the side elevator and dump it. Make room for the next plane. But that was interesting to see that. And the trouble is that sometimes two sets of planes are trying to land at the same time. As far as I know, we collected all the pilots. But one of the things I want to say, a lot of people probably won't like, but that we were task force 58 sometimes and 38 other times. One time, when Halsey was with us with Typhoon Cobra, I remember it vividly, and it was a terrible. I was on watch up in the director was 120 over the water line, and it was a mess. But what happened is we knew that where the tornado was, and we asked, the typhoon, and they asked for permission to go around it. And Halsey said, join the fleet. So we went right through it. And both carriers had the damage to the deck in the front. we were the first aircraft carriers to back up to planes. And and not only that, there was the cruiser Canberra was with us. 102 feet of his bow broke off, right in front of the first turret. And three submarines, three destroyers were sunk.